Well, I'd say there's personal instances of racism and sexism, and there's, as a whole, generally in society, racism and sexism. They're phenomenons that we experience every day.
Let me ask you a question. So if there were hiring practices that are put in place by corporations that said to deprioritize white men in hiring and to hire people who are part of quote unquote minority groups, somehow women are included in, I don't know how that works, but to prioritize hiring women and hiring people of color, would that be evidence of racism or sexism against white men?
It goes against the Civil Rights Act, I believe, right? Or they're discriminating for employment.
But you are familiar with like DEI practices and affirmative action?
DEI and affirmative action, but you can't do that.
Which deprioritizes hiring
but it's illegal.
White men.
It's illegal to not hire them on the basis of race.
Doesn't stop it from happening.
I would say that is an experience of racism.
Just to be clear, okay.
Daily Dreaming 88 donated $200. Nothing is ever a one-way street. Everyone can experience racism or sexism. You don't have to be white to realize this. You don't have to be a murderer to know murder is real or wrong. Happens to all.
Yo, Daily Dreaming, thank you, man. Appreciate your patronage. Well put. Wait, so you said, well, it's illegal. Well, isn't it illegal to pay men and women different wages?
Yeah.
So are you conceding like you don't believe in the wage gap then?
I believe in it. I'd never said that I didn't believe what you.
But I thought it's illegal.
Happened.
It's illegal, so it can't possibly happen.
Okay,
right?
It can still happen.
Okay.
Definitely. And I'm sure that there have been hiring practices against white people put into place for certain corporations, but for many other corporations, they exclusively hire people they already know.
So nepotism? What's that have to do with race?
It does, because people feel comfortable around their own race. Just like maybe an Asian company would only want to more so hire Asian employees, they feel comfortable around their own race.
My question is...
understand that. I'm just saying systematically over time, because white people have been in such a higher place of power, they've been able to do that and connect with their communities in a more comprehensive way than other races.
Why should we defer to the definition of racism being only institutional authority, rather than defer to a definition of
I didn't
racism?
defer to either one. I acknowledged both of their existence, and I said
so if
I delineated one of them, and I conceded that the other one does exist.
Then if the other form of racism exists, aren't people just as capable, black, white, whatever, of being just as racist as the next person?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll concede that. But I'm just saying I don't want that to be used to belittle or demean like how much more I think systematic oppression is impactful versus these one-off acts of discrimination. Although they are bad, and obviously I don't condone that.
Yeah, but how do you quantify systemic oppression?
You don't have to quantify it. You can look at the historical examples. You can look at laws.
That would be quantifying it.
It would be quantifying if you looked at the data. There's statistics.
Yeah, so how would we quantify, and by what methodology would you use to quantify whether or not something was systemic racism or not?
That's not a quantifiable thing. You'd have to use qualitative and quantifiable factors.
Okay, what qualitative and quantitative factors would you use?
Well, you'd probably have to do some poll research.
Mm-hmm. But that would just be, if you're polling, that would just be asking people how they felt, essentially, right?
Yeah, but isn't that what we're all doing? Aren't you just asking me how I feel?
No, I'm asking you for your opinion, and if it's based around objective fact instead of feelings, in fact.
Oh, whoa. Facts over feelings. Well, I told you that both exist. I don't have a problem with admitting that.
So back to this. How would you go about trying to figure out how you would quantify what is systemic racism? Because, like, for instance, you'd have to...
It's not quantifiable.
It's not quantifiable. So
it's just something that we know happened historically.
It's just a feeling.
If you go to history classes,
well, if it's not quantifiable,
classes,
right, and it's not empirical, then how is it anything other than a feeling?
You said the thing about the patriarchy protecting women earlier, and you brought up the example of the Byzantine Empire. Mm-hmm. Is that anything more than just a feeling? There's no quantifiable evidence in that.
Yeah, but I wasn't looking for something which was quantified then. We were giving an example.
I'm not looking at something that's quantified either. What unit would you even use to quantify systematic racism?
I'm asking you. It's your definition.
Yeah, okay. Money, years incarcerated, that kind of thing. There you go.
So if you're just using years incarcerated, though.
Okay, here we go. Oh, higher crime rate.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
And the problem with that is?
I just already know what argument you're going to make, so I don't know why you're talking with me.
I'm guessing you have a great counter for it.
What's the actual definition? Like, why aren't we pulling up actual definitions of words and then asking people's opinions
Well,
instead
because
of going
people
on
can
feelings?
come up with whatever definition for whatever thing they want.
So
and
why
it's
not
no
just pull up the real definition?
There's no such thing as a
Do you
real
think that
definition.
slavery had zero lasting
Phil-
impact? Like, do
philosophy
you think they
doesn't-
just, after Reconstruction,
Stop.
they just made
It's
that
philosophy.
it
I
perfect?
have to
Whole
answer one
conversation.
question
Okay,
at a
but
time.
can you answer mine
As
first?
soon as I'm done answering
Can you answer mine
yours,
first?
Just give me 1 second. Calm down, lady.
I'm just acting like he does.
Feisty.
I mean, you wouldn't let her talk for like 5 minutes.
Because I was already
over
in the
here.
middle of having a debate.
And we're in the middle of having a debate.
No,
You can't
I was in
answer
the
me?
middle of having a debate with her. And you just went, ah. But fine. My attention's all focused on you. What did you want?
I asked a question.
What was the question?
Loki, I forgot.
Great.
can go
So
ahead.
back to this. Now that you forgot your question, just saying that anybody come up with a definition of anything. What makes this a cup? That's just agreed upon, or couldn't we call it bubble gum?
Oh, I remember my
I
question.
mean, but then that throws every argument that you've put on the table out the
No,
door this
not if
entire
a person
time.
comes up with a definition. They might have a definition which deviates from whatever you find in the dictionary.
There is 2 + 2 = 4.
Yes,
like,
I agree.
every time.
Always.
So
But
someone
that's a
can feel
metaphysical
like
truth, not a socially constructed one.
Yeah, but what makes that a cup is metaphysical. It's physical. It's not social.
The
So-
glass is real. The beer inside the glass is real. What makes it a cup? What makes it that?
It's literally a cup, like it was made by a glass maker.
What
Like
makes it not a saucer?
Epistemology.
It's literally a cup. Like I don't.
Right.
See, you can.
It's a cup because it's a cup.
No, but like it's like explaining. How do you explain the word "do"?
No,
Like,
it's not. It's not like that. We're just talking about definition. You make a definition.
Okay,
A person
but-
can make a definition for whatever they want, and
I
so
don't care about opinion of a
What-
definition.
so how are you-
What is the literal definition?
yeah. So
and
you're
then
just going to
ask
appeal to an
someone's
authority, though, right?
No, because things are definitive. Like this is blue. It's a cup.
What
it has
makes a
purple.
social
It's a
construction definitive?
a sometimes cylindrical object that can contain fluids.
I think my
That's
question is
that's
relevant.
that's a very stupid argument because at the end of the day, no, for real, it's trash. No disrespect. Well, that was disrespect. I'm sorry.
You think that
sorry.
definitions
Like
are
a cup-
objective?
No, like a cup is a cup. And if
Uh-huh.
you're gonna ask somebody what their opinion of
Yeah,
a
but
cup
what
is,
makes it a
like,
cup?
someone can't say, "Oh, well, it might be a cat." Like, what is the?
Okay,
to
fine.
Argue, what is the
I'll
definition
tell you
of
what then.
sexism?
I'll tell you
and
what
then
then.
let
If that's
people
true-
give their
if
opinions
that's
based
true-
on their understanding. If they're going based on something that's in the clouds, they don't even have any understanding of. This is a completely waste of a conversation.
Yeah, you have to
Then what
define
makes
terms
then
when
what
you're
makes
going
a
to have a
chair?
discussion.
Then define chair.
I'm not here. We're not discussing chairs. You
Define a
asked her question
chair.
about sexism.
Define a chair.
It's a stupid question.
A chair is literally an inanimate object that you can sit on.
Does it have to have 4 legs?
I mean, a chair can have 4 legs. It can have 3. It depends on the
Can have-
structure
Well,
of the chair.
what makes it a cushion then, not a chair, or a couch versus
Or
a
a
chair,
Look,
or
I'm
whatever?
not a cushion or a chair connoisseur. Okay, pull up the definition of a chair, and then we'll discuss what a chair
but
is.
what I'm saying
Tell
to
me
you,
what the
what
confines
makes the
of
definition that
conversation
you
are.
pull up of the chair an authority on what a chair is? What makes the definition correct?
The inventor, I don't know.
The
Pull
inventor.
Up the guy who originally
So-
invented
so
chairs.
a guy-
and then we'll talk about what he made chairs to
So
be.
you're appealing to an authority, which is fallacious. That's
I'm a
my
woman.
point.
I appeal to authorities.
So you're just a walking fallacy?
No, I'm a woman, so I.
So you're just a walking
understand-
foul. I just always appeal to authority when I
No.
make arguments?
No, there's right and there's wrong. 2 + 2 = 4. You can't just say,
Yes,
oh
but
well,
that's
someone
an objective
feels like
truth.
2 + 2 = 5. It's going to equal 5. No, like you're
Oh,
sitting here
man.
asking questions. It's not a fair. Like you're asking a question. Can someone be sexist to men? Okay, I said yes. She said many things. At the end of the day, bring up the actual definition of what
makes
you,
that the definitive
if you're gonna
definition,
sit-
other
if
than
you're-
appealing to the
if you-
authority that
then
it is?
Then give your definition.
That's
of
what she was doing. That's what I asked her to do, and you have a problem with it.
No, because it's not there. It's like a waste of a back and forth.
It's not
if
a
there's
waste.
no definitive yes or no. Like if you can't sit down and prove this is where I'm getting my ideology from, this is where I'm getting my standpoint from, then everyone's just sitting here talking about feelings and it's going in circles. It's like, bro, do you get headaches?
Cool. So the word cool. The word cool can mean cold, or it can mean awesome, or it can mean all sorts of different shit
Okay,
other
and
than the
context
word
matters.
cool. Yeah, but not just that. Definitions themselves. If you say, look, I only use this dictionary definition of this thing, Fine, we can do that. But what if somebody has a different definition than what the dictionary is? What makes the dictionary
then pull that
right?
up and talk about it. Pull
What
up
makes the
different
dictionary
variations
right?
Pull up the different variations of
You're not
the
answering my
actual word.
question. You're just talking.
No, because you're saying what makes that right. Pull up the different variations of the word and then discuss the difference between them.
What makes
You
it?
have
What makes the
to-
dictionary
you need something
definition
to go
correct?
by.
Right.
You're going
You have
in
to
the
have
clouds right
definition.
A person coming up with their own definition, something to go by. So what makes the dictionary
You
definition
can't
correct?
say when I'm saying apple, I really mean orange, or you're not going to be able to actually
That's a
have
word
conversations.
concept fallacy. But if you were to say, I call this a laflipidoo, and I call this a doondoodle, and this is the apple, and this is the orange, we still know what we're talking
I
about.
think what's happening with a lot of the progressive ideology is they're actually redefining terms, and then when they're describing what they are describing as racism or sexism or whatever, they've actually tried to redefine it with their own new invented definition of
It's
what
true.
that is. And I think what
But they
Keisha's
can.
saying is, can you lay out
Yeah.
what your
Show me
definition
how
is
2
so that
plus 2
she can
equals 4.
juxtapose
That's
it to
exactly
yours.
what we were doing when I asked her her definition.
asked-
That's
No,
literally
no,
what
no.
we were doing.
You asked her hers. Keisha's
Yes.
We're
saying,
asking
can
hers.
you
I'm saying
tell
show
hers?
because
Pull it up and
because
show
we're
her.
going off of her.
He's not understanding it.
No, I'm not only am I
Can
understanding,
you say
I'll still man it.
yours so that we've heard hers?
Why
Can
would
you
my
say yours?
definition mean anything when we're asking a question about her belief?
We absolutely, because you're debating with her, so you should define what sexism is to you. She's defined it what is it to her, and then that would actually explain some of the miscommunications happening.
There's no miscommunication happening. Nobody was confused except you.
Actually, there is miscommunication because I think too
Because
many
you're
of
confused
the
and you're
progressives.
confused, but we were never confused.
Excuse me. Stop.
You're excused.
No, stop.
No, you stop.
The reason is
You're so fucking low IQ, I can
Listen,
barely
no,
talk to you.
here's
You don't
the
even
problem.
know what a definition is.
No,
It's just
here's the actual
insane.
problem. If you were to actually attack it at their definition, you
That's
could
the best
destroy
thing to
their
do.
argument
Yes.
immediately. Yeah,
That's
but
why I asked her for
problem
the
is-
definition to destroy
The
her
problem
argument.
is you're not actually disputing it with what the correct definition is, and that's what
Yeah.
Keisha's trying to point you and clue
What
you
is
in on.
the correct definition?
Yeah, tell
it up.
her what it
Pull it
is
up.
so she can see that.
Okay.
What would make
guys,
what would make that
sexism.
definition correct?
Look, you
Yes, you can be racist and sexist towards white people and men. You can be racist and sexist towards a white man. I concede. My other definition is something that I feel like they teach us in school.
And that's wrong because they're redefining terms. Like racism always meant
There's always been two meanings in the dictionary,
Right.
for both of them, though.
under the true original definition of racism. Absolutely, everyone is capable. You can be racist against a white person. I think the problem is the progressives. They've decided we're just going to now redefine what racism is, and then in their new definition of it, they're excluding white people, and they're saying it has to be because they're turning into the definition saying there has to be a power imbalance. Right, so they're redefining what racism is. And I think that's the point here. Is if you talk about the only true definition of racism is discriminating against somebody based on their race.
Because if you said that, I would have ceded that,
Then
yes,
that
you
is,
can do that.
by definition, racism. Okay, and I think that's the definition we're going off because we're not acknowledging their other. Because what they're actually doing is they're merging together what they believe was originally systemic racism. They've just merged that into just generalized racism.
Well, it's just that the two
literally
words are the same word.
don't
They mean
care
different things.
how they define a thing. I want to know how they define it so that I can get into the argument and destroy the argument. That's why I'm asking for the
So
definition.
you want to cause chaos
when
instead
you
of
that's not
learning.
chaos. That's the
Just
opposite.
educate.
That would be order, destroying an argument.
Well, see
and
how
replacing it would
when
be
I
ordered.
defined racism, she was able to concede and say, "Well, yes, white.
Yes,
you
she
can be racist
she
against
can
white
concede
people."
to your definition, but I would still like to know what she means by institutional racism,
Okay.
how we quantify that, and why we should see to that definition to begin with. I don't even need to give a counter definition in order to go into the worldview. It's called an internal critique. People do it all the time. It's fine to do one. People have definitions. You can internally critique those definitions. Appealing to a dictionary definition doesn't mean it's the correct
So
definition.
she has to explain her argument. You don't have to.
She
explain
made
yours.
the argument. So yes.
Do you,
Yes.
Do you
So he
believe
doesn't-
That's
he doesn't
right.
have to explain
Do
his
you-
When you
argument.
make an argument, I don't have to. I don't have to do
okay.
anything but
Interesting.
internally critique it because it's your position. Yes, that's right. That's correct.
Do you believe that Reconstruction was done perfectly
What do you mean by Reconstruction?
after the Emancipation Proclamation passed?
Well, and then perfect. What do you mean by perfect?
I'm sorry.
What do you mean by perfect?
When did I say perfect?
You
I'm
said
sorry.
was
You just said it.
Reconstruction done perfect?
Oh yeah. Was it done in a way so that we currently have no systematic injustice, discrimination, racism against black people?
No, I would say that there might be some.
Okay. So you didn't even obliterate my argument. In fact, you somewhat agreed with it a tiny
No, all I
little
did was
tiny
answer a
bit.
question.
Okay. Well,
So, yeah, so there might be some, but that doesn't mean that there's more than there is against any other race. It doesn't mean that there's less or more than there are against whites. It doesn't mean that there's less or more than there are against this or that. All I did was say, sure.
but I said it
can
in the
grant
context
that.
of Reconstruction
And?
after slavery. I don't
And
think that
there
it
could still
was
be overall
other-
systems, but there could be other factors which lead to other races being more racially profiled, perhaps.
Do you think
or
that
more
any other
systems
race has
against them.
experienced a worse, not cleavage, but historical acts than Black Americans in America?
Yeah.
Native Americans had a pretty
Yeah.
awful time.
Yeah, they did. And I'd say
Yeah, they
that
did.
they're, yeah, but besides that, can't you say that definitively then they, in society, experience a general level of inequality that is
Mm-hmm. Not right
higher than
now.
a white
That's a
person?
different argument, asking and then and now.
Well, I asked you if you thought Reconstruction was perfect, and
Yeah, but when you said perfect, all you did was say that you would admit that there could possibly be inequalities even now, and I would say, sure, there could be.
is there equalities even now?
I don't know. Just name one.
Planned Parenthood targeting black communities.
That would not be an inequality that's done from the government level. That would be an institutional progressive lobbying group
Redlining?
that's doing that. Yeah, well, it would be a progressive lobbying group that's doing that. It's not the government's not forcing blacks to have abortions.
Okay, but we elected the
Okay,
government.
so
You elected who?
question- wait,
You
wait,
elected
wait,
people
wait.
who force
the
blacks to have
question
abortions,
is the institutions
Yes,
in the
unfortunately.
government actually targeting specific races? Is that the question?
I think in that particular case, she's asking yes if Planned Parenthood itself. Well, that was her
Or
argument.
any
Yeah.
institution within the United States is targeting specific races of people?
Yeah.
Okay, well the answer is yes. That definitely does happen. That happens with black people. It happens with now racism. Like I said, racism.
That's what I
and
just said.
sexism
It
can
happens.
happen
It
with-
happens to all sorts of different races. I'm not willing to concede immediately that it happens more to one group than another. That's why I asked for specifics.